I was commissioned as an officer in the United States Army right after college graduation. I ran in the military, and even when I got out, I ran 4 or 5 miles a day. I'm Diane Langen. I am 59 years old, and I live in beautiful upstate New York. I had my knee replacement when I was 51, and before that, I have to describe my life as very active, full of a lot of physical activity and travel. I left the military to start a family and to raise my children, and I have 3 boys now. They're all grown. I started having problems with both my knees, I'd say in my mid-40s. I was diagnosed with severe osteoarthritis, no cartilage left in both the knees. And I began with physical therapy, cortisone shots, the gel injections. When I was about 50, my doctor started talking about the possibility of doing a knee replacement. There was a very short discussion about the possibility of infection, but only as a surgical infection. He told me that those things almost never happened, and that he assured me I would not get a surgical infection. So I had the knee replacement in August of 2013, and the surgery was uneventful. I spent 2 nights in the hospital, and I did my recuperation at home. There were no initial complications from the surgery, none whatsoever. In 2015, I experienced a very rare complication associated with the knee replacement. It turned out to be a recurring hemothrosis, very rare complication, even more rare because I wasn't on a blood thinner. The bleeds kept happening at any time. Could be any time. I could be at the store, I could be at home, and my knee would puff up and fill with blood, and I would limp along. I would need assisted walking devices. Probably happened 8 or 9 times, and they finally said, well, we're going to go in and do a revision on your knee. It took about 3 or 4 months to get to the surgery. I had the revision in August. That surgery went in, no complications from the surgery. After the revision, it still takes a while to heal. It's still a big surgery. Really takes a full year to heal from that. But normal life comes back at about the 2 or 3 months mark, and I was back to work, and I was back to life, normal life. Things went pretty well. That night it's difficult to talk about. I don't remember everything. I was sort of lapsing, sort of in and out of consciousness. I felt sicker than I knew it was humanly possible to be sick. It was like my leg was on fire and somebody was hacking my knee with a machete. Every hour you delay treatment for sepsis, you get a higher chance of dying or losing limbs. So I was taken by ambulance to a local hospital. They call it a 1-stage. They open you up, they irrigate the best they can, they remove the plastic from the device, put in a new plastic insert, and clean it to the best of their capability. And so I was on IV antibiotics for about 8 weeks. But it was explained to me that what I had was a biofilm infection that is really not treatable by current antibiotics. In August of 2020, there was a reemergence of the original infection. The pain just kept getting worse, so they took me into the hospital, got the entire implant, and replaced it with a cement articulating spacer, which I still have in my knee. I don't know how long it will last. It won't last as long as a knee replacement. I was put on antibiotics January 24th of 2020, and I am still on antibiotics right now. Will I ever come off antibiotics? I don't think so. The big worry that hangs over my head like a giant anvil is the possibility of another infection. I really didn't have an understanding that you could have a prosthetic joint infection 5, 7, 10, 20 years after the initial surgery. I have been given a 1 in 4 shot of that happening again, and I don't think those are good odds. I had to retire in November of 2020. I was out of sick days with my job, and I knew I wouldn't really be able to go back to work in any kind of competent, functional way. So I wasn't really emotionally ready for that kind of retirement. I was not financially ready to retire. At the time I was just 58. I had every plan of working till at least 65, maybe beyond. The financial costs of a PJI, or two of them in 1 year, are astronomical. My medical bills were in excess of $400,000 for 2020. It's only through the generosity of my family that I have survived this. I kind of socially isolated. It's a long recovery. And a lot of that you just have to kind of do by yourself. To anybody else who's experienced something like this, I'd like to acknowledge first the devastating impact that this has on a person's life in every financially, emotionally, socially. We may feel alone, but we're not alone. There is hope that these awful procedures will be just spoken about as history, medical history, and maybe someday PJI won't be that big of a deal. Be something that will be more easily treatable. So hang on to hope and keep fighting.